turkey season right around the corner. It's actually starting in some states already, and we're about a month out from ours. We're going to be hopefully doing the youth season hunt this year with my son, but this is an episode of historical stories, and so what we wanted to talk about today is we're going to discuss turkey hunting and whatnot, for a couple of reasons. One, because it is the greatest comeback story of all time, even better than Rocky, even better than Eddie Guerrero versus Brock Lesnar, even better than Rey Mysterio versus any massive guy. It is the greatest comeback story of all time, and the reason why is because in America we had almost hunted the turkeys to complete extinction. There was at one point so many turkeys in the state of Mississippi that 3 different scientists, and this is like back during the 1800s, early 1800s or so, that they were just absolutely amazed at how many turkey were in the state of Mississippi that they had to take note and make a count of it. It was the boys from Speak the Language podcast and Spring Legion did a podcast on this, and it's in the link, or there's a link in the comments below about it, and they were talking about was likened to when Daniel Boone came into Kentucky and was amazed at how many buffalo was there. So what happened was, whenever we sailed over here, we seen that was the first time anybody had ever seen a turkey, because turkey are basically only, at the time, were only in the Americas. So they actually took a bunch of turkey back to England, domesticated turkeys, and then we had domesticated turkeys here as well. But what eventually happened was, due to deforestation, overhunting, because there weren't hunting laws back then like there are now. Now we can't shoot turkeys while they're in the trees. We have to wait for them to get to the ground. And when I'm talking about them being in the trees is a turkey roosts, goes to bed in a tree. They'll fly up into the top of a big oak tree and they'll sleep in a big oak tree. And so you'll see video. You can search videos, and I'll try to put a couple in the comments or in the description, that they will roost in trees. And so that's where they go to bed. I'm sorry, I hear geese calling in the background and it's distracting me. So you'll see okay, starting over, well, not really starting over, more like picking back up from where we left off from the previous clip of video that you just seen. So let's discuss more before we get into a lot of technical stuff about like how a turkey lives and current turkey climate and whatnot today. You see, on a huge nationwide / statewide level, where states are basically working together. Certain states are giving wild turkeys to other states to help plant turkey populations in other states. And you see hunting clubs working together with the states and everything to help bring in turkeys and help repopulate turkeys as well. You see Fannie Cook in the 1920s in Mississippi. She was concerned about all of her state's resources, and she wanted to make sure that there were turkey and deer for people to eat. And see, like early on, 1800s and whatnot, wild game was everybody's meal, not just the hunter and her family, their family, whatever. It wasn't just theirs. Everybody ate it. It was harvested for an industry. It was harvested for individual use. And so we really hurt our numbers all across the board on every animal, to where we couldn't hunt certain animals. There used to be elk here in Missouri, and there's a small herd now, and we're going to talk about that in like 2 months whenever our draws come up, because I want to discuss it then on a historical stories episode. But we unintentionally hunted our animals here in America almost to extinction because we needed the food. and we just didn't care all at the same time. We didn't know what we know. We didn't know then what we know now. There we go. And so things got really rough for our animals here in the United States, especially the turkey. The turkey was pretty much gone, almost the way of the dodo. It was bad, but now things are starting to pick back up around Fannie Cook's time, which is like the Great Depression and whatnot area. She wanted to make sure people had food because we were in this depression, and you know they're getting food and stuff from bread lines, but she wanted to make sure that okay, this these people, they're gonna have to go out and hunt and everything. So she worked hard to make sure that her state had its resources. Here in Missouri, a little family that some of y'all might know, known as the Druries, worked with a club at the time down in Bloomsdale. Whenever they were working on repopulating the state of Missouri's turkey population, they worked with a hunting club called the 40 Acres Hunting Club, as well as another family from the Bloomsdale, Missouri area known as the Boslers. They all worked together to try to help the state of Missouri get repopulated with turkeys. They worked on the release and helped get birds back out there and everything like that. And I highly suggest if this is something that interests you, whether you're a hunter or you just want to learn more about turkeys, is to look at what happened in your state, whether you're here in Missouri or maybe you're in Texas, which East Texas right now is this is something that I've really been learning a lot about. They're doing bird releases right now to help up their population because their population had been on a decline, and we weren't able to start really hunting turkeys again until late 50s, early 60s, I believe. There's a great video, link is in the descriptions, that is on the Missouri Department of Conservation's YouTube channel that is called Return of the Turkey. It's from the 70s, so it's real old and grainy and stuff, but it is a great watch to help you learn more about turkeys other than this video. But in Connecticut, their state, what was it? The Connecticut River, anything east of the Connecticut River did not have turkeys in it from like late 1700s, early 1800s, I believe. And it was like that everywhere. Vermont, I think, had one of the very few turkey populations, and they're the ones that like gave turkeys to New York and gave turkeys to Connecticut or something like that, or maybe it was New York gave turkeys to Vermont and to Connecticut. I'm getting it flip-flopped in my head, I think. So there was a whole lot of that going on all over. And whenever the NWTF was founded, they really had, turkeys' concerns in mind and wanted to help bring the turkey population back for a lot of reasons. And these birds are wonderful creatures. And personally, whenever I was a kid, I didn't see why Benjamin Franklin wanted them to be our nation's bird. I didn't see it at all, but now I do. They are smart creatures. They are tough to battle with. They're a formidable foe. And you think, a turkey's not a formidable foe. Get out there in the woods and try to get you a gobbler on public land. Try to get you a gobbler on public land. It is a challenge, because you're not only fighting the turkey, you're fighting the weather, you're fighting other hunters, anybody that might be walking, just hiking through the public land. It is a challenge. And they are a formidable foe, for sure. They can see really well. They're super skittish. It takes a lot of trickery because they're used to hearing, they know each other by their voices. So if hunters try to mimic a hen, and if you don't sound like a hen they know, they may not give you the time of day. Most likely they won't. A lot of times studies have shown that they come into you if you sound more like a hen that they know. I don't know exactly how all that works. I'm not a scientist. But there are a lot of great avenues that you can find and help to keep turkeys around, because we are on a decline right now in turkey population.
We've had a lot of bad hatches here lately. Excuse me, my eye is messing with me and has been for a little while now. But you can make a difference. There's all kinds of things to help bring about turkey awareness, including / especially by hunters, including myself. You can donate to Turkeys for Tomorrow. You can donate to the NWTF. You can be, I think donating makes you a member to either one of those. Pinotti Project is working with Backwoods Grind to make a coffee, if you're a coffee drinker, where all the money goes to Turkeys for Tomorrow to help refund turkey not refund, but to help fund turkey research, so we can figure out what's going on with our turkey numbers. Like I was saying earlier, turkeys roost in trees. Well, during mating time, which is what we're in right now, the hens have to nest on the ground whenever they lay eggs, because springtime / turkey season, the hens are on the ground, and in a lot of states you can't kill a hen during spring season because they're nesting and they're trying to take care of these eggs and everything, and they want to protect that part of the resource, which is great. A lot of times the younger male turkeys, the jakes is what they're called, because they've got a shorter beard, and there's a few other distinctions as well that differentiates them from a tom. Tom will have bigger spurs, bigger beard, usually nice floppy snoot that you guys see and can kind of correlate with what a male turkey looks like. And so you got to be able to identify that too whenever you're out in the woods hunting. And a baby turkey is known as a poult. A poult, their survival rate is very risky. We have to really work to make sure that they survive. And one of the biggest issues is two things off the top of my head are predators and nesting habitat itself. So what can we do to, well, first off, what predators are after them? Pretty much everything. Snakes will eat the eggs. Raccoons will eat the eggs. Possums will eat the eggs. Raccoons will even eat baby poults. I don't know if a possum will eat a baby poult. Once they get older, bobcats become an issue for bigger, full-size turkeys. But right now, the biggest focus is getting them from the poult stage to the more adult stage. And there's a lot of research going into that right now, and all those places that I mentioned are great places to look into. And I highly recommend supporting the hunting public, because they're helping with a lot of research right now. The Pinotti Project, all these people care so much about turkeys, and there's so many ways we can bring awareness and help these birds, because all of us hunters, we want to make sure that these birds are around for future generations to enjoy. We enjoy the pursuit of this bird. We want to make sure that we can continue to pursue this bird, but not only us, but future generations, like I was just saying. And we want it around, even if you don't want to hunt them and you just want to, be able to go out on a hike and look at them. There's plenty that can be done. If you're a private property owner, you can burn. You can, plant specific things. You can thin your trees out. There's a lot you can do, and you can get in touch with a biologist from your Department of Conservation, or your, Game and Fish, whatever it's called in your state. Get a hold of them and be like, hey, this is what I want to do something to help with turkey population. And they'll give you some really great ideas on what you can do to do that. And this is something that the entire family can do. My son, he's old enough now where he's getting, if he's not at the age where we feel he's mature enough to do a youth hunt, he's getting close. But he still cares so much for these birds and has a passion for these birds. And he's a youngin'. It's not just adults that can make a difference. Kids can make a difference, and he wants to make a difference. And we're trying to find ways where both of us can, because we do care for these birds. And this video is one way, spreading education about not only these birds but conservation in general. And turkeys are a great example of conservation. We as a nation and states and whatnot else, however you want to look at it, work super hard to get turkeys back to where we could hunt them and get a bag limit of 2, 3, 4 toms is what the male turkeys are called, if I didn't say that earlier. Gobblers is another term used for them, to where we can enjoy this resource that we have. And conservation isn't just it's not all about hunting and going out and killing them. We have to maintain the resource, whether it's turkeys, deer, and it doesn't even have to be animals. It can be any type of resource. We have to conserve and take care of and manage what we've been given. We have to be good stewards of what we've been given. No matter which way you look at it, we have to be good stewards of our planet, because we only get one. And I want to make sure myself that we can keep this resource around for toms will start gobbling at about late February, early March in most states. Not every state, but most states. And what that means is they're gobbling isn't necessarily, hey, I'm looking for a girlfriend, or however you want to put it, a mate. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're looking for it right then, but they're getting ready to. And so they're starting to act that specific way. And so that's kind of like their call out of, hey, I'm looking for somebody, is there anybody out there? And all turkeys make these noises: clucks, putts, purrs, yelps. Males don't. I haven't really heard of a male yelping. That does not mean they don't, because hens will gobble sometimes. It's very rare, but hens do gobble. But your main noises are the cluck, the putt, the purr, and the yelp. Especially like when you're hunting for a gobbler. Some people use gobble calls. I don't. I use mouth calls, which are used to mimic a female sound. I'm not very good with a mouth call. I've got one here handy though, so I'll show you how one of those works. This is not an instructional video on how to call. This is what a call sounds like. That's just to give you an idea of a kind of what a turkey would sound like. I'm not super good with a mouth call. I'm still practicing, but there you go. I also use what is known as a slate call or a pot call. I'll take a picture of it and put it in here. But it's usually like a piece of slate over a piece of glass, and it's in a casing of wood or plastic. Mine's plastic, my son's is plastic, and they've got holes like driven in. His has holes drilled in the bottom where it helps increase this acoustics. and you can use what is known as a striker to get it to make its sounds. I will be making a hunting stories video where I'm going to go to one of our local sporting goods stores, buy some new calls, because those are a year old. I'm going to buy some new mouth calls, and I'm going to buy one new striker. So we'll make a video of that probably next week. Another thing that male turkey does to get a female's attention, aside from gobbling, is what is known as strutting. So he'll get all puffed up, his head turns color, and he fans his tail out. And whenever he fans that tail out, that's when he's in full strut. Tail feathers are fully fanned. Now, springtime, hens will get, grouped up like 2 or 3 or so with one male, maybe 2 males. They don't really get in flocks so much. Once we get full going in spring, they kind of spread out some. Any kind of grouping you'll see will be a lot smaller. Usually, like, you'll see one tom by himself, or a hen by herself, or what have you. Every once in a while, though, you see them kind of group up. But once we get back to like fall time, about September, October, they really start to flock back up. You'll see flocks in some states in the hundreds. And it's incredible. So there's 5 species of turkeys, 5 subspecies. You have the Osceola, which is only located in like the Everglades region of South Florida. You can only get them in South Florida. You have the Eastern, which is over half the U.S. I think it's like there's a dividing line somewhere in Kansas, Nebraska area. It's not it's not a state line for those. It's like somewhere in the middle of the state, basically, where it changes from Easterns to what is known as Miriams or Rios, because there's a splitting line that's like so you have a line that's going north-south, like top to bottom of the states, this way for Easterns. But then you have on the western parts of the United States that a east-west dividing line that divides the north from the south, where you have your Miriams to the north of that line, and to the south of it you have your Rios. And then there's the Gould's turkey, which is like Mexico, like I think all of Mexico is their territory, as well as a southern region of Arizona, New Mexico area. And there's your 5 subspecies. So depending on where you live, you might have Eastern, you might have Miriams, you might actually have a mix. I think every once in a while people have come across hybrids, depending on like where you are. Like certain places in Texas you could have a hybrid, I believe. Parts of Kansas, I think you can have a hybrid. Parts of Nebraska, you could potentially have a hybrid. But most of the time, they're pretty well split up. As we get ready to wrap up with this video, I've thrown a lot at you guys. I hope it was good information. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment down below. But don't forget to support all of these great, businesses, whatever, non-profits, anything that I've mentioned in this video, whether it's Turkeys for Tomorrow, NWTF, Pinotti Project, Hunting Public. Support these guys so we can continue to do more for our turkeys here in the U.S., because it's one of the very few places that we can get, it is like the only place that we can hunt them and have them as a wild game. And I'm a huge fan of them. I love them. They're phenomenal creatures. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. Have a good one. Check out the description below for all the links.